He didn't hold back. Novak Djokovic, the man known for his composure, calculation, and diplomacy, just openly called out what he sees as red flags and inconsistency in Jannik Sinner's doping case. Welcome to NetRush Report, your home for the biggest tennis stories and the moments that shake the sport to its core. When Novak Djokovic speaks, the tennis world listens. And this time, his words weren't about another record, rivalry, or title. They were about fairness and about Jannik Sinner. Sinner, one of tennis's brightest young stars and Italy's pride, was caught in a storm earlier this year. He tested positive twice for clostebol, a banned anabolic agent often associated with muscle recovery and performance enhancement. The revelation shocked the ATP world, not because of what Sinner did, but because of what happened next. Despite 2 positive tests, Sinner served only a 3-month suspension, and it was scheduled perfectly. So perfectly, in fact, that he didn't miss a single Grand Slam. Fans, analysts, and even players began whispering. Was Sinner protected? Djokovic, who has long been a vocal advocate for integrity and transparency in tennis, finally addressed it. In a candid conversation with Piers Morgan, the 24-time Grand Slam champion made it clear he's not buying the story at face value. There were many red flags in how this case was handled, Djokovic said firmly. When you look at the timing, the process, and how quickly things were resolved, it raises serious questions about consistency in how the rules are applied. It wasn't just criticism. It was a statement from one of the sport's most respected and scrutinized figures. Djokovic knows what it's like to be at the center of tennis politics. He's faced bans, media scrutiny, and questions about fairness himself, most notably during the 2022 Australian Open saga. So when he calls out inconsistency, it carries weight. Still, what stood out was his balance of empathy and honesty. Despite the clear frustration in his tone, Djokovic refused to vilify Jannik Sinner personally, in fact, he made a point to separate the player from the process. I have a sense of empathy and compassion for Jannik, Novak said. He's handled an incredibly difficult situation with maturity, and he's continued to perform at the highest level despite everything that's happened. And that's true. Sinner's response has been nothing short of remarkable. He's faced the media head-on, answering questions with calm precision. He's continued to win the US Open, the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and several other ATP events. Instead of being defined by scandal, Sinner's been rewriting his narrative, one victory at a time. But Djokovic's concern wasn't about Sinner's talent or determination, it was about the system that governs these cases. Djokovic pointed out that several other players have been banned for much longer under similar circumstances. He questioned why Sinner's punishment seemed lighter, and why it appeared conveniently timed around major tournaments. If the ATP and anti-doping authorities claim to uphold fairness and transparency, why does this case feel like it was handled differently? Why do some players get years on the sidelines, while others, like Sinner, barely miss a match? Djokovic's remarks weren't just about Sinner. They were about the principle of equal treatment. Rules are rules. They should apply to everyone in the same way, he emphasized. If we want to protect the credibility of our sport, there can't be exceptions. Not for anyone, no matter how talented or popular. It's a sharp reminder from a man who's fought his own battles against perception, privilege, and politics in tennis. Sinner, for his part, has chosen silence over confrontation. Currently in Turin defending his ATP Finals title, the Italian hasn't responded directly to Djokovic's remarks. Instead, he's doing what he does best, letting his racket do the talking. That he's playing with poise, confidence, and focus, seemingly unaffected by the ongoing debate surrounding him. Meanwhile, Djokovic has decided to skip the ATP Finals altogether this year, citing a shoulder injury, a decision that came shortly after his 101st career title at the Hellenic Championship in Athens. For fans, it's a strange twist. The sport's greatest competitor stepping aside just as his younger rival faces his biggest test off the court. Behind the headlines, though, this moment reveals something deeper about Djokovic. He's not just protecting his own legacy. He's protecting the integrity of the game he's dedicated his life to. Throughout his career, Novak has spoken openly about double standards, especially when it comes to how the ATP and media treat different players. He's criticized the lack of transparency in decision-making and the uneven way players are judged depending on their popularity or nationality. So, when he says there are red flags, he's not just stirring controversy. He's calling for accountability, for consistency, for fairness. And that's something even Sinner's fans can't argue with. What makes this entire situation more intriguing is the contrast between the two men. Sinner represents the new era, calm, composed, and diplomatic. Djokovic represents the warrior spirit, fiery, outspoken, and unwilling to let politics go unchallenged. Djokovic's critique and Sinner's silence both highlight the tension within tennis, a sport that celebrates its stars, but often struggles with its own rules. At the end of the day, Djokovic's words may not change the outcome of Sinner's case, but they've reignited a crucial conversation, one about fairness, integrity, and the treatment of players at every level of the game. It's about asking the hard question: is tennis really as fair as it claims to be? And if Novak Djokovic, one of the most scrutinized and successful athletes in history, feels there are red flags, maybe it's time for the tennis world to take a closer look. Djokovic may be resting his shoulder right now, but make no mistake, his words have already served another kind of ace, not on the court, but in the debate over truth and fairness in modern tennis. And in that sense, Novak Djokovic is still winning. Thanks for watching NetRush Report, your source for the biggest tennis controversies, emotional moments, and behind-the-scenes truths that define the game. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because in the world of tennis, the next rally is always closer than you think. This is NetRush Report, where tennis meets truth.